welcome, fans of Premium Take. Happy Father's Day. Another edition of the Premium Take Show coming at you live on Father's Day Sunday. Here are my great co-hosts to help me get this show going. I call them the Four Horsemen of YouTube, but they can introduce themselves on their own. My guys, how are you?
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's MacdaGiantsFan here for another edition of Premium Takes. Let's get it.
Yo, Zion Zenith. We appreciate you guys all being here. Happy Father's Day. Hopefully everybody had a good day, and let's get it.
Yo, MYG Jeffy T 3285. Thank you everybody for coming by the stream tonight. Let's go get it, guys.
Well, now that you know my Four Horsemen, let's get right to it. So the NBA Finals is over, and I know, for me and Jeff, we're probably a little disappointed because the team that we originally had winning fell short. And I got to give credit to the Golden State Warriors. Congratulations to them. Really put together a great series, played some great defense. You thought, at least I thought, I don't know about you guys, at least that they were going to lose just because the first game was so crazy, right? Just so crazy. And I'd like to get your thoughts on what you guys thought of the game and the comeback that the Warriors displayed.
Well, I feel like Golden State just they kind of did what I kind of expected them to do. They showed that championship pedigree when it all came down to it, and ultimately they wanted it more. I mean, these guys got after it, man. That game 6 was crazy, man. Kendrick Perkins, I was watching the other day on First Take, whatever show it was on in the morning, said it best, man. It was as if Andrew Wiggins just snatched Jason Tatum's soul in that game. Like, it was just crazy. The way Andrew Wiggins, so he could have easily been named MVP of this series. Andrew Wiggins could have been. So I feel like Golden State, their core three, I mean, they wouldn't necessarily get other than Steph Curry, they didn't get the same kind of effort out of Klay Thompson and Draymond Green that they were used to in the other championship seasons. But just those guys' presence alone, their ability to know how to get it done on this stage, I think ultimately is what it came down to. Jason Tatum, man, first team All NBA. You got to show us more. I mean, you can't just be good. You can't just be good during the regular season and fold up in the playoffs in the clutch time, man. When your team needs you most, man. Jaylen Brown gave it everything he had, man. Al Horford had a tremendous game 6. But Jason Tatum, you're the star guy, man. You're the top guy on that team at the end of the day. And then I couldn't tell from that Game 6 performance at all, man. I just couldn't tell.
You brought up a good point, and I'll let Jeff and Zion chime in. But you brought up a good point there, and that was Jason Tatum. Where were you, bro? Like, where were you when they needed you the most? If you look at the three in Golden State, all three of them played well. All big three of that team played well. So you're right. I think Jason Tatum did get his soul snapped. Jeff, Zion?
I mean, where was Jason Tatum that whole time besides breaking a bunch of shots? He was absolutely getting frustrated the entire time by the defense of Andrew Wiggins and Klay Thompson. I thought the both of them were absolutely fantastic on the defensive end. And Draymond Green, while he struggled a lot throughout this series, the Draymond Green of old showed up in Game 6 because that guy was tremendous defensively. His rebounding, his shot blocking, his defense, his intangibles that he throws out there that we all know Draymond Green could do. And Steph Curry, I mean, this guy is the greatest shooter of all time for a reason. This guy just knows when the big game is on the line, he's going to make those big-time clutch shots. Jaylen Brown, I thought he was the best player on the Celtics throughout the entire series. Marcus Smart had his moments, but he was too inconsistent with his shooting, and he turned the ball over way too much. I thought that was the biggest thing that hurt the Celtics in this series was turnovers. A lot of it had to do with Golden State's defense at times, but Boston was clearly absolutely careless with the ball a lot. And actually, it was their stars that were the most careless with the ball. They kept turning it over constantly, giving Golden State a ton of opportunities, whether it was driving to the basket for easy layups or even those put-up shots by Curry, Thompson, whoever it was, and Andrew Wiggins. The reason why I felt like this guy could be an MVP caliber player because his defense has been improving, the way he was playing all through the season and even at the beginning of the playoffs. And this guy just seems like he rediscovered his game since he came over to Golden State. And just getting back a guy like Klay Thompson while his shooting was very suspect, it just seemed like it put this Golden State team back together because when he was not there, it just felt like something was missing, and it was mainly his defensive effort out there. His shooting, we all know, is great, but Klay Thompson is one of the most underrated defensive players on that floor, and I felt like at times he frustrated the hell out of Jason Tatum and at times Jaylen Brown too. So I thought Thompson was great on the defensive end. And Golden State, what Matt just said before, championship pedigree. When the big game was on the line, those big-time players on that team, Green, Thompson, Curry, they got it done because they already know what it's like to win the big one, and they were able to just rise up into the big moment and just be able to get it done when it meant most. So kudos to Golden State. And Boston, hell of a season, but just fell a little bit short to just an overall better team.
I have to agree. Before he goes on, I have to agree with you on the Andrew Wiggins thing. I really do believe he kind of changed the series around, almost like the Andre Iguodala when he first came over in 2015 and changed the mindset and mentality of Golden State. And that's how I think Golden State kind of won their first championship, with him fitting that Andre Iguodala would be there to close the game out. But I thought Andrew Wiggins really, really gave fits to both Jaylen Brown and Tatum. And it shows that you need a third scorer, such as a Klay Thompson. I think, kudos to Klay Thompson for coming back, having a great season and really putting the Warriors back on top with his performance. Zion?
Yeah. Great points by everybody. I worked throughout, so I only was able to watch 1 or 2 games. I know I watched game 3. First off, for Boston, they played good team ball, but yeah, Tatum is exactly to echo what Mac said. I'm sorry. You gotta perform. You gotta put the team on the back. You're the superstar of the team. I know Jaylen Brown was out there giving his all. You gotta seal the moment. You gotta rise to the occasion. And then Tatum is one of my favorite players in the league, but at the end of the day, he didn't rise to the occasion, and it came down to experience. To echo what all of you guys said, if you look at Golden State, we've been saying it throughout the playoffs. If the Golden State makes it, the championship, half the roster played on those championship games. It came down to experience. It came down to big time games, and they've been there and they've done that. You're looking at a team that been to 6 finals in the last 10 years that won 4 of those finals, including this one. And you look at the Splash Brothers, and once they get themselves flowing, it's hard to stop. A lot of the fans, including myself, a lot of the NBA fans, including myself, thought that the East came out and they was going to play tougher basketball. But yes, they did kind of fold. Looking at the highlights, hearing you guys talk, not by watching the games. I don't want to sit up here and act like I sat there and I watched every game, because I didn't. But just hearing and watching professionals and hearing you guys break it down, it looks like Boston, the younger team, didn't rise to the occasion, and the experienced team in Golden State did. So shout out to Stephen Curry and those Golden State Warriors. They did it again, claimed another championship, and now the talk I'm hearing is, where do you put Stephen Curry on the scale of the greatest players playing right now in this generation? But that's a topic for another discussion, maybe another premium takes. And I'll hand the mic back over to Adam.
Yes, that is I think we just made our new premium take topic for next year or next week. We can debate on where we think Steph Curry and the rest of the team will be. Well, that you bring up a great point there, Zion, and this will lead us into the segue. I want to put a bow on this finals real quick, but great job by them. Great job by the Boston Celtics. They had a good season, but they just couldn't handle everything that was thrown at them. That's tough to do. That's tough to be a part of. That's tough to be, to sit up there and watch somebody win on your home floor. But those guys could do it. What I saw in the finals this year was a team that
I think you cut off there, Adam.
Oh, look. One big difference.
Hello?
Yeah, you there?
Yeah. Go real quick. All I want to say is that you saw that coaching played a factor. You saw that Game 5 was a factor. That was a big game for us. We said if Boston could win that game, it would turn the series, and that's basically what happened. Game 5, the Warriors blew them out, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Well, another thing in this series too, man, is like back particularly this last game, Boston got back into this game in the like late in the third quarter, early in the fourth quarter. They got it down to single digits, down like an 8 point lead, and that's the point where you think, okay, Tatum, you've been like having a rough game all day, all night, but now we're this close. Now you'll just take the game over, and you're just waiting for it to happen, and it's not happening. And then you watch down the other end of the court, Steph Curry showing you why he is the man, why he's that guy. Just every time Boston made it a little bit close, Steph Curry would just come down there and hit a big bucket, a big three, something, and just insert his dominance. And that's the difference between like a star player like Jason Tatum and a star player like Steph Curry. It's just like almost apples and oranges right now at this stage of the career. Steph Curry is absolutely one of the best players of this generation, and Jason Tatum clearly still has some work to do. You know what I mean? I just gotta get that mentality, that dog mentality on the big stage, man. You're on a good team. You're going to always be in it competing. At least for the next couple of years, you're on that Boston team is going to be competing in the East. They're not going anywhere. Jason Tatum, you got to step up on this stage, man. You got to step up, brother.
And I think also one of the big things that helped out a team like Golden State is they were getting destroyed on the boards at the beginning of the series, where Horford, Grant Williams, Robert Williams, they were just owning the rebounds, the block shots. They were just completely owning down by the basket. And it just seemed like Golden State was able to just change this entire series when guys like Looney, Green, the front court of that Golden State team just started to step it up and matched or even overtook what Boston was doing in terms of their front of their line. So I mean, I thought that's where the series changed is when Golden State, and we got two Adams on the board. I thought when Looney and Green started to assert themselves on the rebounding board and the shot blocking, I thought that's when Golden State really took over this series, because it allowed guys like Thompson, Wiggins, Curry, Poole to be able to get their shots up a lot easier, because you wouldn't have to worry so much about the interior by the basket, putting so much resources in that, because the guys that were down there were getting their jobs done. And we have to just credit Golden State on how good of a defensive team this team actually is, because a lot of people was talking about Boston's defense a lot through this playoffs. Golden State is a tremendous defensive team, and and a lot of these guys deserve a whole lot of credit for the defensive performance they put out there this series and throughout the playoffs.
And I think that's good to know and see. I think you're right about the defense coming through, because at first I did not believe that they were going to be able to handle, like Zion said, the East because of the physicality, but it turns out championship get pedigree, and the turnovers, like you said, Jeff, are just absolutely killer. No matter what sport you play, if you do not lead in the turnover battle, you're probably going to lose the game. Okay. Mm-hmm. And Boston led in the wrong end of that category every game, and it was their undoing. But moving right along, this brings us to a good topic, a sports moment titled topic. If I had the music, the magic music to go into the sports, bringing you back. Do you guys think this dynasty, or this team is a dynasty, A? And do you think they're big three we should be recognizing a little more? And who do you rank them up there with?
I mean, this team is a dynasty. I mean, this is what, 4 titles in
6 years.
In 6 years, that's dynasty shit. There's only no other what team in recent history, somewhat recent history, is the only team to do that, and do that in somewhat recent history is the Chicago Bulls. I mean, I'm not sure they're going to get to the 6, but this team it possibly could, man. And as far as I know, we had some good Laker teams, some good Spurs teams in the early 2000s. But as far as 4 titles in 6 years, only the Chicago Bulls, at least in like my lifetime, and I'm obviously you guys' lifetimes too, have ever pulled 4 titles in 6 years off. So I mean, it's hard to just want to compare them to the Jordan, Pippen, Rodman teams and stuff like that. But this team is legit, man, and the way they built this is phenomenal. I mean, their core players are in home or in were all drafted to this team. It's not like they just went out in free agency and formed some super team. Oh, come play with me. No, these guys were brought to Golden State via the draft, acquired the right way, how you build a franchise, and they built this thing up. They're well coached. Steve Kerr is doing a phenomenal job with this team. I mean, they add the pieces here and there that they need. Like the Andrew Wiggins, obviously was a great piece. They're building up just Jordan Poole kid. I mean, to be another great sensational talent. I mean, Golden State ain't going nowhere. It's like they're going to be around for a while, man, and just got to get used to it.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you, Mac. This Golden State team is, as long as Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry are playing for that Golden State team, this team is going to be a force and a team that's going to be a championship level squad for however long those three are going to be here, because they are definitely one of the best trios of all time. It's a different era of basketball, so it's kind of hard to say that they're up there with, like, the likes of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, James Worthy, Magic Johnson, or McHale and Parrish and
well, let me ask you this.
It's difficult.
Let me ask you this: are they like the Spurs? Because I would consider the Spurs, who have always won, kind of a dynasty in the way they did it. Do you put them above the Spurs? Because right now Mac was talking about, the Bulls, but the Spurs are pretty good too. They have a pretty good run. Do you want to put the Spurs in their category? Are they better than the Spurs? What do you think?
I think I'd actually put the Spurs a little bit ahead of them right now, because the Spurs were a great team for a very, very long time. And they had a couple of interchangeable pieces that came in and out, but it was mainly for probably about 11, 12, 13, 14 plus years. It was Duncan, Parker, and Ginobili always there, and that team was always either in the finals, close to the finals, or at least a playoff team for at least probably about 20 years, close to 20 years. That's how good that Spurs franchise was. You want to talk about the model of an NBA franchise at the time? It was the San Antonio Spurs with what they've been doing. So I'd probably say if they can have at least 3, 4, 5 more years of sustained success close to a championship, they could pull off one more championship, maybe 2. I'd probably put them ahead of that Spurs team, but I got to give respect to what that Spurs squad did back in the mid to late 90s and even all through the 2000s and early 2010s. That Spurs squad was something special. And those 3 guys were great players for 15, 16 years. So I'd say they're just a little bit below those guys.
But here's my only rebuttal to that is with the Spurs, because they were great Spurs teams. Tim Duncan's whole career, he write a storybook about it, man. It was amazing. But it's one thing, they won their championships, and it was over a long period of time, a good period of time, pretty much throughout the duration of Tim Duncan's career. And they accumulated some titles, but this Golden State team is an absolute juggernaut. This is 4 titles in 6 seasons. And one of those seasons which they didn't win was a pandemic season in which the whole league was wacky and screwed up. And the other season they didn't win was the year when they basically didn't have Klay Thompson for the whole season, and
they missed 2 years.
Dealt with some other injuries. You know what I mean? Other big injuries on that team, and they had that down year where they I don't even know they made the playoffs. But
I think they were the worst team in the NBA one of those years.
But you see how they get healthy, they get a couple more additions, and they rebound and get right back to the top. I said right back to the top. I mean, just like that, they're back to being at the top of the mountain.
That is pretty epic. You're right. They were counted out. So, Mac, you bring up a good point.
Mm-hmm. So that's why I would honestly give them a slight edge over those Spurs teams, because the Spurs did it over a long period of time, and it was great success, great sustained success. They were making the playoffs every year, but they weren't necessarily cashing in titles at the rate that this Golden State team has in these past 6 years. So that's just where I'm at with it.
How many did the Spurs have? 5 with those guys? 5 championships?
Yeah, I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
Since Tim Duncan got there, they had 5 throughout his career, I believe.
Yeah, so the Golden State Warriors, they did the one thing that the Spurs really never had to do, and that's go through adversity. And that's when, they went through those couple of years where they had a down season. So I'll give you that. I mean, when Klay Thompson missed pretty much close to 2 years with the ACL and then the Achilles injury. And, just Curry was in and out of the lineup. Green was in and out of the lineup. Of course, yeah. I just can't disrespect what that Spurs team did for a long period of time because they were a sustained success juggernaut for a very, very long time. They might not have
their greatness.
A whole lot of championships, but that team was a great team for a very long time. And 5 championships in that period is still a hell of a job. So
I agree with that.
It's apples to oranges with that whole discussion.
Before we kick it over to Zion real quick, I think the Spurs are different because they were always in a conference championship or in a playoff game, right? It wasn't like they took a week off or took a year off or were bad. They were constantly good for a long time. They only because they won 5 is because they met some decent Western Conference teams as we go. But Zion, you got any points? Go ahead.
I feel like Tim Duncan, the Spurs were in the playoffs every season of Tim Duncan's career, I believe. Yeah. Every season.
So I think I would slightly put that above them only because we've seen the Spurs for 15 years do it. That's pretty great to do that and make the playoffs and not miss a beat. Zion, do you have anything?
We know, Adam. They did it to us one year.
Don't remind me. Zion, got anything? I know you got it.
No, I think you guys had great takes, and then we can continue on with the show.
Oh my God! You didn't even want to bring up Miami and their big 3. Come on!
I'll bring that up later on in the show.
You would. You know what? We'll do a sport moment for you. Maybe that's your sport moment. So, ladies and gentlemen, it comes into our memory lane segment. I like to call it.
I like that.
Sorry, memory lane segment. It is sports moments, good or bad. We will start with. Let me roll the. We'll start with Zion. Because we haven't heard from you as much. What is one of your sports moments, good, bad, or otherwise?
I'm gonna say it's not really a game time moment or anything like that. It's more of the summer of 2009 and 2010 when we signed D-Wade and we acquired Bosh and LeBron James to Miami. As someone who grew up as an Allen Iverson fan and not really following basketball, I always had a love for Miami. I guess that because of the 06 win that I've seen Shaq and Wade perform. So I'm gonna say when we acquired LeBron, I actually followed and I actually committed to Miami, and that was one of my favorite moments because we struggled out of the gate, but I believe by his second year on the team, he was able to accomplish a championship, and then accomplished another one back to back and almost had a 3-peat. And if it wasn't for the Spurs, like we guys are just talking about how dominant the Spurs was, we would have had a 3-peat. So that being said, we did win 1 against the Spurs, and I'm proud of that. But I'm gonna blend that all together on LeBron coming to Miami and signing Bosh and Wade being a playmaker that he is. Also, too, I would like to say, I'm not discounting Milwaukee or discounting Boston or discounting the Nets. I know the East is gonna come back firing, but I'm not trying to sound biased, but I would love to see Golden State make it next year, and I would love to see Miami make it because that's a matchup that I wanted to see for the longest. Because outside of the Spurs was kind of on the. I'm not trying to be rude here because obviously was a powerhouse of a franchise, but they was on the decline. And the outside of LeBron and the Cavaliers, it's been Miami and Golden State that been dominating the last 15 years. If you look about it, Miami been in and out of the finals, winning 2 and appearing in 4, I believe, almost appearing in 5 if you made it. But at the end of the day, I think that's a matchup that I would love to see, Miami versus Golden State, and I think that'll be a fun matchup for the league. But at the end of the day, the season just ended, and it's a long season. So I don't want to overlook anybody at this point. I'm just gonna leave it at my best sports moments, being LeBron signing at Miami and the big 3 of Miami winning those 2 back-to-back.
Nice moment. So you could say that you took your fan talents to South Beach, from Iverson to the Miami Heat. But I know that's a little corny. We're corny here. It's dad. It was a dad joke. I'm sorry, guys. But let's go on. Let's go on with Mac. What do you got for me? You know what? I'm saying Mac for last because Mac always got some type of interesting history nugget, and I'm sure he's got something today. So let's save the best for last, and I will let Jeff go next. Sorry, Mac.
Well, I'm just gonna go with probably the like a period of time, the two happiest years as a fan of the Nets, and that's when we acquired Jason Kidd in that trade for Stephon Marbury, and that same year we acquired Richard Jefferson, Jason Collins, and Armstrong, I believe his name is, in the second round. We had that team put together those 2 years, and nobody thought that Nets team would be as good with Byron Scott as the head coach. Nobody thought that Nets team would be as good as it was. And all that Nets team did was it would run up and down the floor, making other teams dizzy, shot blocking, dunk city. That Nets team was the most exciting team to watch at that time period. Kenyon Martin, Jason Kidd, Kerry Kittles,
we were Lob City
Lucius
before
Harris.
Lob City.
Exactly. We were the definition of Lob City. Jason Kidd just throwing up these ridiculous passes. You have Martin, Jefferson, Kittles, all these guys just making incredible dunks. It was like a highlight reel every single night when the New Jersey Nets were playing basketball. And then the Nets found a way to get the number 1 seed in that first year with Jason Kidd at the helm and make it all the way to the finals. Unfortunately, we had to face that incredible Lakers juggernaut of Kobe and Shaq that first year. And we almost got bounced in the first round. We had to play against that Indiana Pacer team with Reggie Miller doing some Reggie Miller ridiculous type stuff. But that Nets team, and coupled in with the following year, we also went to the NBA, back-to-back NBA Finals years with that core group. Just absolutely, if you're a Nets fan, that's the team that you always stick with, and that's the couple of year team of that Nets core you always stick with. And you always think of like, that's my Nets team, because it was mostly a core brought together, homegrown. With the last piece they brought in was that big point guard who had controversy in Phoenix at the time, came over to New Jersey, and all he did was lead that team to back-to-back NBA championships. Just unfortunately fell a little bit short from the ultimate goal, but still was one of the biggest highlights for any Nets fans of fandom. So I just want to couple those two together, especially with the Jason Kidd trade in 2000 for Stephon Marbury, which is an earth-shattering and turned the Nets from what was an abysmal franchise at that time to one of the best in the NBA for that little period of time. So I just want to bring that up. Mac, hit him.
Well, take you guys to February 11th, 1990.
I knew it.
Take y'all to Tokyo, Japan. Iron Mike Tyson, one of the absolute most dominant people to step into a boxing ring at this current time, man. By far the most intimidating person in all of boxing at this particular time in his career. He steps into the ring against a relatively unknown contender by the name of James Buster Douglas. And in the 10th round of this fight, James Buster Douglas shocked the world by knocking out who was at that point in time, like I said, looked like the impossible, the most dominant, undisputed champion in the world, the most intimidating guy to step in the ring. And Buster Douglas put him right on his ass and had Mike Tyson fumbling around looking for his mouthpiece. All embarrassing, man. And unfortunately, that was really the beginning of the end of the great boxing career that was that of Mike Tyson, man. As we all know, a whole lot of other issues after the fact. Getting incarcerated, which took away 5-6 years of his career. And then he never ever was able to get back on track after that. Just happy to say that Mike Tyson looks like he is doing pretty good with himself, with all his business ventures and things that he's doing. So he's gotten his life back together, got his life back on track, and I'm happy to say that about Mike, because he really went down a rabbit hole, spiraled into just a lot of obscurity, man, in the 90s. And it was unfortunate because he was the youngest heavyweight champion of all time when he won that title. And he went on an amazing title run. I mean, just knocking everybody out that got in his way. And then that night in Tokyo, he ran into a guy named James Buster Douglas that I guess he thought he could just look over. And he found out the hard way, man, you can't look past no one. And James Buster Douglas, that was an iconic moment in sports history because it was still to this day, here in 2022, one of the biggest upsets in not just boxing, but in sports, period. That's how, I mean, Buster Douglas went to that fight as a 42-1 underdog. So,
Yes. That is like, I don't even know if you put Michael Jordan against one of the worst players in the NBA and him winning that worst player winning a game of horse. It was not expected to happen. Of course, I was 6 years old, so had no idea who Mike Tyson was at the time. But
I remember that fight
good
like it was yesterday.
good stuff there, Mac. But I'm going to go down a different road.
Absolutely.
I'm going to take a road that many Giant fans will remember as one of the best games. And then the reason why I went down this road is because I love NFL Network and I love all things NFL history. And there was a game on there in 2000 in the NFC Championship game. Who's calling that game? Pat Summerall and John Madden. Yep, you got the two best of their era to ever do it coming into Giant Stadium with the towels going crazy, a team that we weren't supposed to be. The Minnesota Vikings, the 2000 Minnesota Vikings coming off that great performance in 1998 with Randall Cunningham. Then they got Dante Culpepper, and then they found themselves again in 2000 back again in the NFC Championship game, only this time it was down in the Meadowlands. And they were not ready for the buzzsaw that was the New York Giants offense that day. Kerry Collins throwing 5 touchdowns, opened it with Ike Hilliard down the sideline, down the seam pass. The crowd is going nuts, full throat. I've never seen a crowd not stop cheering in my life. This crowd was full throat from wire to wire. Every score, every game, every moment. The biggest moment of the game to me wasn't just the scoring of the touchdown, was Emmanuel McDaniel. Yeah, remember that name, number 26. Emmanuel McDaniel, 5'0", going up against the greatest hands of all time and ripping out an interception right as Chris Carter is coming down with the football, turning out, getting an interception, touchback Giants, preserving the or keeping the shutout going. I thought that was a big moment. If they score, who knows what happens there. But to me, that was my big moment. This is the first time I got to see the Giants in the Super Bowl that was relevant. You know, everyone knows I was 6 when they won their first one. So this one was like, yeah. Of course, I didn't know Tony Saragusa was going to ruin the Giants' hopes for anything by landing on Rich Gannon in the Raiders game, in the Raider-Baltimore game, which led us to that infamous day in Super Bowl 35, but we're only talking about 2000 as a championship game. My fellas, that game was one of the ones I'll never forget. I knew where I was. I knew what I was doing, and it was a proud moment in Giant history. I know the end result is to win the Super Bowl, but hey, I'll take a win in the NFC Championship game any day of the week.
Absolutely.
I know, in NFC Championship games.
NFC Championship games. You know, Giants have a history of those. Anyways, so those were our sports moment, people. Hope you liked some of those. We're going to go, because we're in the thick of it right now, we're going to go right down to that WWE. They got something going on. Vince McMahon smelling like a nasty old man, doing some nasty old man things and getting in trouble for it. You know Vince McMahon. He thinks he's on top of the world. Well, guess what, people? He is now at rock bottom. He just was rock bottomed by the public. I'd love to know you guys' thoughts on what's going down in WWE, and we can also talk about the return of a superstar who's been off action for a couple of years. Guys?
You want to talk about Jeff?
Well, in terms of, I'll start with the return of the superstar. After what happened with Mr. Randy Orton, when he, that's another news that just broke, that he might be out for the rest of this year because he has possibly undergoing back surgery. You know, Vince McMahon probably pressed that, pull up the Brock Lesnar signal, we got to bring him back. Yep, Brock Lesnar's back, and he's going after Roman Reigns for, what is it, the 500th time? These guys are going to be battling each other for the world title, which this is the problem with the WWE. It's a whole separate rant, but it's just, this is why you have to build new stars, because you wouldn't have to keep calling for the same people over and over again.
Well, they lost Cody.
They lost Randy, and you had Matt Riddle, who was as white hot can be, but it felt like
great match on Friday night, though.
Absolutely, but it felt like at the end of SmackDown, like Matt Riddle did not even matter, because it just felt like it was Brock and Roman again, and then, oh yeah, that guy, Matt Riddle, he just put on a great match, but, He's not that important. We're just gonna brush him
Well,
off to the side again for the big two guys again. I'd like to see. Go ahead, Adam.
He, I'm not going to let Riddle get outshined because he put on a hell of a match, deserving of a title shot, deserving of a championship win. If Riddle had surprised Roman, I would have thought it was great. Would be one of the greatest moments in probably WWE SmackDown history. But I'm not going to let Brock Lesnar, tarnish the great match that Riddle put on.
And while I think the match that they're going to have at SummerSlam is going to be a last man standing match, it'll probably be a lot better than this match they had at WrestleMania, which is, we understand why they did it in that short amount of time. But it's there's no point in having Brock Lesnar go in there again. And it comes down to one of two things. Are these two going to beat the hell out of each other so bad at SummerSlam that both of them are going to be taken off TV? And once again, you're not going to have your world title at all be featured on television for the rest of the year, like Brock Lesnar did when he had the championship? Or is Brock Lesnar going to come back? Because he's not going to want to lose twice on a big pay-per-view event. So is he going to become the champion again? Is he going to be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns? Is Roman going to come back and win that title? So it's that dynamic you have to think about. But
let me ask you this. Is Roman Reigns leaving? Because he seemed to have teased something about leaving, and we all know that there's rumors about movies and such. Do we think he is going to be absent at some point?
I think maybe this is okay. He'll probably drop the title at SummerSlam, and that's probably exactly what to go ahead and go about his business, doing whatever else, other stuff he got in the works, acting, whatever, movie parts, whatever. But here's go back to the whole thing of SmackDown. Riddle, Roman Reigns, great match. Riddle put on an absolute show, even in a losing effort. A couple times had Roman Reigns right there at the limit, at his limit. And the fact that we're not going to get Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar until at least SummerSlam is the disappointing part of it all, of this whole situation. Because why bring Brock Lesnar outshine what Riddle just did in this match? And we're not even going to get him until SummerSlam anyway. You're not getting him at Money in the Bank, which is the next pay-per-view. So we're still going to go another pay-per-view where the Universal Undisputed, whatever the hell they call this damn title now, until that's still not going to get defended at the next pay-per-view, which is Money in the Bank coming up in a couple of weeks. So why are we bothering bringing Brock Lesnar out to overshine, to pretty much steal Matt Riddle's thunder after putting on a great match, when this could have just waited till next week or the week after next for all I care? You know what I mean? Like, it just wasn't necessary. And then why do you get these alerts? I'm getting alerts on my phone before SmackDown, or Vince McMahon's going to be on SmackDown and coming out there. And all he did is fucking come out there and say, "Welcome WWE audience," or whatever he said. And it was like, that was what this was for. What do you just want to show face? Did you just want to see how badly booed you get? Yeah, you did. It was a weird ovation. It was some people just cheering for you because they're probably just starstruck over Vince McMahon and can't help it. And then you had some people just booing for you because you're a piece of shit heel who owns the company. Or you had some people just booing for you because you're just a piece of shit, period, who takes advantage of your female employees in the back, apparently, and tries to give them hush money. I don't know if that's what he was looking for, but it was just, to me, what was the point of it? You just came out there, stepped in the ring, and say one little line and leave.
But it was but it's like, if you were going to leave, right, at least say farewell, I'm sorry for my actions, or what you heard is a lie or something. You came out here and said, "Welcome to SmackDown, I'm out."
Because he went over there, he came out specifically, all this news was being brought up, Vince McMahon's going to show up on SmackDown. No reason was said, like, what he's going to say, because he wanted everybody to tune in to SmackDown and be like, oh my God, Vince McMahon's actually going to start SmackDown. What the hell is he going to say? I got to tune in. I got to see what this guy's going to mention. He's going to talk about what the allegations and everything. That's why he did it. He wanted people to tune in. It's a classic Vince McMahon tease where he gets you guys, everybody in the fans, riled up, so he makes you tune in. And it's not ironic. WWE actually popped a pretty good rating for this past SmackDown, and it probably had to do with what Vince McMahon was going to say. That's why he did it. He's going to make everybody watch the tune in, and he was going to make people like wonder what he was going to say, and then he was just going to go off and say what he said, which nobody should be surprised, and then go on his merry way. It's
Well,
classic Vince McMahon.
I thought it would have been a little bit more surprising. I thought it was going to give us a little bit more than that. That to me was like, I'm Vince McMahon, I'm above the world, F you guys. And I'm not saying we need to nearly get into his dirty laundry, but let's be honest, this is the CEO of one of the biggest companies, entertainment companies in the world. And for him to have that, it's just kind of,
See, here's what I thought. I thought he honestly was going to come down there. I know he wasn't going to go into any kind of details about the situation. That's obvious he wasn't going to do that. But I thought he was going to come down and be like, I've been in the news. You guys will know what you've heard. And I got some legal things I got to take care of, and I have to step away. And I thought maybe he was just going to bring out Stephanie, give her a little maybe grand introduction to being taken over as an interim CEO while he's dealing with these issues. I thought he was going to, at the very least, do that, and maybe then she would have came out and, addressed the WWE universe. But just to come down there and say, welcome to SmackDown, and leave the ring, and that was it. What was the point? It just was no point. And that it just was pointless, and it was just a waste of everybody's time.
Yeah, but I don't understand why he would do that. Why? I mean, because to me, I understand, like Jeff, you're saying ratings, but this is not when you want ratings. You want to be out of the limelight. Okay, and not for nothing, Vince McMahon, this is probably not the first time this has come up. This is probably the first time it's gone public. Because I've heard things about him. I've heard things about him in the years leading up to it. I mean, the steroid thing. I think there was something more to it more to do in the steroid case than anything else, right? Not to mention, the Attitude Era. The stuff went down. Like, I'm not trying to condone his behavior, but this is not necessarily not surprising to me. It's just the fact that this probably isn't the first time, and he better hope that no one comes forward, because it could ruin him entirely, and it won't ruin his company because Stephanie McMahon will have it keep going. However, he will be ruined, and it's not something you want to have, especially if you are Vince McMahon and you're trying to get ratings. This could turn a lot of people off, especially with Sasha Banks leaving, many wrestlers leaving, not to mention AEW still kicking your ass. These are the things you don't want to happen. Like you think about WCW back in the day, they were a different product and they were kicking ass. And for 80-something weeks, they beat, Monday Night Raw. Why? Because they were different. They had their shit together, and there was less going on in the back end of it, right? I mean, you had Vince McMahon came off the steroid era with Hulk Hogan and all that garbage. And then he couldn't really identify anything in the late Attitude Era, except with DX and everything like that. And like I said, it's let's hope that him being gone leads to a better product for WWE. Because I think with a new mind and a new person in the back, Stephanie, and hopefully Triple H will be in her ear, they can get this thing back on track, WWE that we know and love.
Is he gone though? Because he was still in charge of the creative and everything, even when he was, supposedly going to be stepping down. He was still in charge of creative of this past show. And is he really going to be gone?
No, this is some serious stuff he has to deal with. He needs to focus all his attention on that. He's not going to be able to.
Yeah, no.
This is some serious shit he's dealing with now. This is no joke here. He has to address it, focus his attention on this lawsuit and these accusations.
He has to clear his name.
Yeah, he's not going to have time to be right now dealing with the inner workings of the company. I know it seems like it's his company. He's going to still want to be involved. Right now, he has bigger fish to fry, bigger issues to take care of. It's just I can't imagine he's going to be really dealing with too much of the actual inner workings of WWE for right now, at least until he's done gets the situation cleared up.
I mean, I don't know if he'll not. It's Vince McMahon, so I'm sure he'll find a way to see the script at some point. But he's not going to be behind Gorilla anymore, right? So he probably won't be the one calling the shots when the writers come in. So that'd probably be Stephanie running the show. And I think this be a good thing to let us know if Vince McMahon, because I mean the guy is up there in age. If he croaks, someone's got to get the WWE, right? There's gonna be a good chance to see what it would be like with Stephanie McMahon in charge. I think you would get a little different taste of superstars. I think, personally, like you guys said, I think Brock Lesnar is another reason why that Vince McMahon panicked. He was like, "You're right. Oh, my superstars are going down." But Brock Lesnar better win, because to me, you don't bring back Brock Lesnar for nothing. Okay, again, you didn't want to unify the title, fine. You want to give it to Roman Reigns, and he's on this epic run, which, again, I don't know about you guys. Roman Reigns just doesn't, to use this term, move the needle for me when I think of champions. I'm kind of just like, yeah, you're Roman Reigns. You're the guy for now because we have nobody else. But for me, Brock Lesnar better win, period. Otherwise, I'm tired of seeing him, because what's the point of bringing him back all the time? You know, John Cena's going to be there too. He already lost to John Cena. So unless you're going to, because Brock Lesnar is the only guy outside of The Rock who I wouldn't want to wait till The Rock anyways. And let's be honest, I don't think The Rock is going to be coming to WrestleMania this year. It just doesn't feel like it as we go. He's got too many deals going on with that new movie Black Adam and all that other stuff, which, you know, I'm going to go see. I'm just kidding. But, you know, we'll see what happens. But let's move on from WWE.
Real quick, the one difference with that is, like you said, I don't see The Rock coming back either, because these other guys step away and they make movies and do their little acting ventures. But let's face it, The Rock makes good movies.
Yeah.
So he makes blockbuster hits. Like he's legit. These other guys, they make these movies, they're so half-assed. You got the Miz, all these little Marine movies, straight to
Hollywood's
DVD,
bag is bigger.
DVD movies.
For The Rock.
The Rock makes legit blockbusters. He's a true respected actor in as far as in the industry in Hollywood, as opposed to the rest of these guys. He has a legitimate acting career. He's not just some wrestler making movies. He converted full time into one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. So
in the history of Hollywood,
the biggest difference. Yeah,
he's our modern day Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, and just for me to wrap it up quickly on this whole thing, the WWE will never become a better product until Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, Kevin Dunn, Bruce Pritchard, that entire group that has been with Vince McMahon for all these years, those what everybody calls them old heads, get out of that company. That whole entire regime needs to be gone, and let new blood that knows wrestling in 2022, modern day wrestling minds, come in there and fix that company. And that's when the WWE will start improving. And
I just think Vince has to go.
Fans. All of them need to go.
I think Vince, you know, when Vince let Triple H run NXT, we saw what he could do. So I think now we'll see what happens. I mean, remember, you know, Vince was the last say. If he didn't like something, he could change it. So let's see what Stephanie McMahon does when she's in that seat. But let's move right along. We'll get to some MLB, New York Yankees and Mets talk and league news. So far, the Yankees, the Bronx Bombers, are destroying everybody in their path. They are just, they have, I don't know what it is, but man, in the Bronx, they are the Bombers. We got to call this team a different name, because I'm sure once you give a team a nickname, they always win or they get something. I know the Bronx Bombers is cool, but for this Yankee team, my God, I don't even know. This is the best start they've had in their history.
It may be. They're far and away the best team in Major League Baseball right now. Just far and away. It's not even close at this point now. They're just running away with the pack. Every time you look up, they're just dominating someone. They're just I don't know what to say about this team. It's phenomenal. It's fun to watch though. It's fun to watch New York baseball in general right now, but the Yankees are really, really killing it.
And I think the MLB needs the Yankees to do well. I hate to say that. I don't want to be like that guy, but it's almost like the Cowboys in the NFL. They need that team to either be you hate them or you love them. And the villain, and people love the villains. And New York plays a good villain. And even though they are not technically the villainous team here, they are the big bag Yankees, and they are getting the swagger back. The fans are getting the swagger back. They're starting to talk more. You know, I got people texting me, "Yo, Yankees, man, we're going to the World Series," and you're like, "Yo, bro, it's still early, but hey, you know, if you believe it, it may happen for the Yankees this year." And I don't know, man. There he is. There's the guy that I'm talking about, the Bronx Bomber himself, Miz. He's the guy that is, you know. You don't need to. Are those fire emojis? I can't tell. Oh, yes.
Watch out.
Don't look like anything stopping them right now. I mean, right now, as things stand right now, it look like nothing. This team doesn't even have 20 losses yet. They still
No.
don't even have 20 losses. Like they're 11. They're like 11 and a half games up in their division right now. Something like
Wow.
that. That is ridiculous.
It's the
Wow.
best New York Yankees start they've had since their 1998 year. We all know what that 1998 Yankees team was like. Well, they won what over 110 games.
Yeah.
That's how good this Yankee team has been. But do not discount that other team in New York right now too,
Uh
because they
oh.
are rolling as well.
Uh
Maybe not as
oh.
well, but just
Not,
as
I say
good
not as
as the
well,
New
but
York Yankees. The Mets have been incredible this year with their bats. They might not have the power, but they're hitting consistently. They've done a solid job of their pitching. And great news that just dropped this evening. Max Scherzer could be making his return to the starting rotation as early as next Sunday. So that's great news for the New York Mets, who right now can use that infusion of a big-time starting pitcher added. And Jacob deGrom, as long as he doesn't have any setbacks, he could be returning in sometime in early mid-July. So you can get your two big-time guys back right now. So I think there's not a lot of talk going on right now that the New York Mets and the New York Yankees might be having themselves another date in the World Series this year because they
Whoa.
are right now the two best teams in Major League Baseball. And as great as it is to have the New York Yankees be great, it's also great to have the New York Mets be great. And it's great to have New York be one of the big meccas
New
in baseball
York.
right now. As a city that is known to be a big time baseball town, to have not only the Yankees but the Mets as well as your two best Major League Baseball teams, you can't say anything but just to ride high right now on this baseball wave and just hope that all these guys can stay healthy and continue to play consistent. But kudos to the Yankees, kudos to the Mets. It's a wonderful time right now to be a fan of New York baseball.
It's incredible. And Zion will get your thoughts on anything baseball for you. I know you don't watch too much, but who knows? Maybe you Los
Yeah,
Angeles Angels of Anaheim are doing well or something like that.
yeah,
they're
you
not.
guys good? You guys
They're
then?
not.
They're not.
They're
No,
good.
so we won't
They're
even go to
soft.
the West Coast. But hey, listen, New York, it's good because summertime when I was growing up as a kid was baseball and the Yankees and Mets doing well, not as well as they're doing now, but well. And I hopefully the Mets. It looks like they got a pretty strong start where they're not going to collapse and knock on wood after the All-Star break coming up in July. But to be this deep into baseball and both New York teams leading their respective divisions, I hope we get another Subway Series. I think it's one of those things in sports where you don't always get to see it. It's something that you love to see, and I would love to see a couple more in my lifetime. Hell, I'd like to see a Giant Jet Super Bowl. I doubt that's going to happen anytime soon, but at least we have the Yankees and the Mets to kind of get us through that. And of course, Brooklyn and New York play in the same conference, so they'll never play against each other. So this is the one sport outside of football that you can actually have a team play each other in actually the same city, right? The same city. You're not like New York and you're playing in East Rutherford. Nothing against you, East Rutherford. Love you. Always been there. We'll be there for training camp this year at some point. But Mets and Yanks, man, what a fun summer it's going to be. You know what, Mets fans? Buckle up. I hope you guys are right and you guys end up in the World Series. You guys deserve a big, big season.
I mean, they're coming off a tough loss today, but as long as they can keep weathering the storm, man, I think this team has a legit shot to come out of this National League when it's all said and done. I mean, once again, I just keep saying it. The relief pitching, man, this bullpen, it needs to be upgraded. Once
Mm-hmm.
again, you got a really good, strong game by Bassett, being pitched by Bassett
When's the
today,
deadline?
and then I'm not even sure,
I think end of July, early August, I
but
believe.
you got Bassett pitching a good, strong game. He did get load the bases up before they brought Lugo in, but then as soon as Lugo comes in, boom, grand slam, clear the bases, just immediately. You just came out of the bullpen, bro, and I get it. You came into a tough situation, bases loaded, but this is what you get paid for as a reliever, man. To get these guys out of the jams when your number's called, and this bullpen just doesn't seem to do that. This bullpen seems to get this team in trouble more nights than not, as a matter of fact. But this team, like I said, they've been really strong. Like the weather in the storm, the bats didn't wake up today too much, but they have been most of the season. So I feel good about this team still going forward. I just really hope this bullpen can get their act together because I believe you have a really solid starting rotation, one of the best in all of baseball, and you got a pretty damn good lineup as well, led by Pete Alonso, man, who is just absolutely killing it this season, and Francisco Lindor earning his money as well. So I just hope the Mets can continue to maintain and hang in there and
Well,
don't have that second half of the season slump that we've been grown
let's
accustomed to.
let's see what they can do. I mean, the trade deadline, this is why we are on Premium Takes, is August 2nd of this year. So they'll have a month and a half or so to kind of get their ducks in a row and line up some guys or some prospects that they can get rid of to hopefully bolster the bullpen so that you guys can sustain that long run in the World Series, because I do believe a bullpen will help you extend series and get and close out games when you need to. But with that being said, we
And for
can
the
move on.
Yankees,
Go
just
ahead.
real quick on the Yankees is not about the season. It's about what they're going to do in the postseason, because the Yankees have notoriously been a team that has done well during the regular season, but when the postseason
Yes.
comes around, their bats
Yes.
get quiet, their pitching isn't as strong. So the New York Yankees have a big thing to prove, is that they need to go into the postseason, and those bats need to hit. That pitching needs to be strong. They got to prove themselves that they're not only just a regular season team, but they can be that team that will get the job done when those moments, those clutch moments are coming around in a baseball game, when pitching dominates in playoff games. They got to make sure
Uh,
those bats can stay hot.
I hear you on that one. I agree with you 100%. I always am skeptical about the Yankees in the playoffs, especially this last decade with Aaron Boone when the games are tight, because, playoff teams are playoff teams for a reason. The competition gets a little closer when you get there. So we'll see what happens. But moving right along to our what we always love to talk about, and it never seems to die, the NFL. And as many of you know or don't know, there was a show I put on the other day about the AFC preview and NFL preview, and we can get to the Giants as well because we're Giant fans at heart. But I was talking about the AFC conference and how it was one of the best I've seen in probably my lifetime. With the arms race that took place this offseason, it's still not done. The offseason doesn't officially become over till 9/11 when the season kicks off. That's when obviously the offseason will be done. But I think the AFC is one of the scariest I think I've seen. Every team, at least half the teams in the AFC could probably be playoff bound. At least half. That's 8 or 9 teams, in the AFC alone. So the fact that we have that, it makes for entertaining shows. So I think we should start, fellas, with my favorite division in the AFC, the AFC East. And I would love to know what you guys think. Who's going to win that division? If you think 2 teams are going to come out, and then maybe at the end of this we'll get to a team we think is going to represent in the Super Bowl. So Zion, why don't you go first?
All right. What division are we doing again?
They're doing the AFC East first to start. Who do you see winning it, and how many teams do you think might make the playoffs?
The AFC West.
East.
East, my bad. So is that the Patriots?
Yeah.
The Patriots, Jets, Miami, and the Bills. Let me just get them up for you in case you don't know everybody, because sometimes
I have the Bills obviously winning or going into the Super Bowl. I have them winning early on, but I'm gonna think about it. I might change that to the Rams as a repeat. But I have the Bills winning the division with 13 wins, followed by Miami. I just think that Miami will get it done. That's just a hinge. There's nothing going on that. I know it's a first-time head coach. I know a lot of what San Francisco did was because of Kyle Shanahan, but I just think that it all comes down to obviously Tua and the quarterback situation. I just think that Tyreek Hill, them acquiring Tyreek Hill, they have Waddle and the young stud running back as well. Like I just think that it comes down to obviously the defense too, because the defense in that division is, in the AFC whole is strong. So it comes down to the defense as Miami as well. But I just think that I'm probably gonna have Miami finishing second. followed by the Patriots. I just think that you can't count out Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is still a phenomenal head coach. You have Mac Jones winning, one not winning anything, but kind of like one of the better rookies we've seen last year. Had out of all the rookie quarterbacks last year, Mac Jones had one of those better years. So I'll probably have the Patriots, and then I am blanking on who's the last team in that division
The
again?
Jets.
The Jets, yes, followed by the Jets.
Hard to remember team.
Yeah, I think the Jets are a young team. They have potential, but I just think they're a couple of years off. I know the same could be said about Miami, and a lot of people would say like, how do you have Bill Belichick, under Miami? But I just think that Bill Belichick, nothing against him, but like he's kind of like we haven't seen any really great drafts here in recent years. We've seen big spendings in the offseason, but like it's the same old shit. Sorry for swearing, gang, but it's like the same old shit. Like he's kind of figured out. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like the NFL has not moved past Bill Belichick. I don't want to be that rude, but I just think that it all comes down to Miami's defense and Tua because they have the weapons to get it done on offense, and that's why I have Miami finishing second, followed by the Patriots, and then the Jets.
Well,
Okay, that's great. Before you go, Mac, let me just set the divisions up for you guys. So, just so you know, AFC East, the Bills won. They were 11-6. New England was 10-7. Miami was 9-8, and the Jets held up the rear at 4-13. Go ahead, Mac.
Well, I'm gonna 100% agree with the coach down here. Buffalo wins this division. Don't think it's even gonna be close, and I do agree they will be the only team out of this division going to the playoffs. I think I do think the
Wow.
Patriots. I agree with Zion. Comes in second place in this division, but I think they're gonna come in second place more in that maybe 9-10 range, where I think Buffalo will be about at least a 13, maybe even 14 win team this season. Where I disagree with Zion, I'm going to switch the Jets and the Dolphins up. I'm not a believer in the Miami Dolphins. I'm not a believer in Tua Tagovailoa. I'm not a believer in the Tyreek Hill addition to the Dolphins. It is not the same as being with Patrick Mahomes, and he's going to find that out. That Tua is
He's the
not
most
Patrick
accurate
Mahomes.
quarterback
They
he's
have
ever played
Waddle
with.
too, man.
Ty,
Dolphins have Waddle
Mac.
too. That's gonna be a fast offense.
It's going to be, but I'm not a believer in the Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins will fall
Got you.
flat
Fair
on their
enough.
face.
So
And
you're
I
not
believe the
buying
New
You
the
have
England.
Tua
every reason
Tagovailoa as
not
a
to
better
believe in the
quarterback than
Dolphins.
Mahomes?
I'm not buying that. I
Don't do
believe
that to me.
The Jets are up and coming. I think they've made a lot of really
The
key
Jets.
moves. Had one of the best drafts out of every team in this league, and I think they're on the rise. I still think they're not going to be any better than third place in this division this season, but that's still better than the last place that they were a year ago.
It's
That's
better
just
than the
how I see
Miami
the
Dolphins.
AFC. That's how I see the AFC East playing out this year.
Jeff, and your take
Well,
on
I'm
the
about to be
AFC.
very disrespectful to Mr. Bill Belichick because I'm putting his team fourth. Because I think that team
Whoa!
is going to be going into this season as a mess. I don't
Whoa!
like their offensive line.
Premium take there.
I think they lost some key players to that team, and I know the Bill Belichick factor always comes in there,
Can
but
I
they don't even
rebut
know who's
that
called.
real fast, Jeff? Can I rebut you real quick?
Yes,
Rebut.
sir.
Who were the Patriots' key players last year?
Ooh, he got you.
J.C.
Stop.
Jackson, Shaq Mason, best offensive lineman,
They
best
still have Bill
cornerback.
Belichick, bro.
Bill Belichick can't pull everything out of or can't pull a rabbit out of every hat.
He
Eventually,
can
he's
pull
going
it
to have
out of
one of
his
those
ass, and that's
years.
what he did last
Eventually,
year.
he's going to have one of those years. I don't care. I think the Patriots are going to have a rough season this year,
Fourth place.
and I
My
feel
God.
bad for Mac Jones. But that's my take. I think the Patriots are coming in last in this division. I think it's going to be a rough year for Belichick, and he's about to have some of that humble pie. And
Oh,
third
you might be
place,
having some humble pie too on that take. I'm just
I
letting
might. You
you
know what? I'll own up to it, but I just think this is going to be a rough year for New England.
Don't
Third
worry, I'll be
place-
there eating with
third
Daniel
place-
Jones if he balls out.
Yeah, well, I think we all will be. I think the entire Giants fan base will be eating that humble pie.
Nah,
But in
because
terms of
I'm sniping him out.
third place, I'm going with the Miami Dolphins because I as well, like you guys, I don't
Third
believe in
place.
Tua.
Wow.
I don't believe in Tua. What has this guy shown anybody? He's got a weak arm. He's
shown that he has a
injury-prone.
long name.
He's got that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And what is Mike McDaniel going to be for that team? Like, how is he going to be as his first year as a head coach? So I'm
I
just
don't know.
wondering, like, how that team is constructed. I like their defense, especially their secondary. I think they brought in some very solid playmakers, but I just don't trust Tua
third
when it
place.
comes down to it.
So
And
that means
I am putting the New York Jets as the
Woo!
second best team in that division because I love what this team did in the offseason, especially in that draft.
you're a
And
closet
I
Jets fan.
love please. I love the Lakin and Tomlinson addition, that offensive line, a great addition to there. I think they killed it in the draft by getting Garrett Wilson as their wide receiver one. I think Elijah Moore is talented. Corey Davis is a third receiver. And then you got Breece Hall, who I arguably say is the best running back in this draft, to team up with Michael Carter. And I mean, they got themselves 3 tight ends. One in the draft, who's arguably the best draft prospect in the tight end position with Michael Ruckert. And then you got yourself Conklin from Minnesota as well as Uzama. And I mean, their offensive line, if you could get anything from Becton and Fant at the offensive tackle position, it's all there for Zach Wilson. And I think this kid is talented enough where he can take that next step and have like a Joe Burrow second year with talent all around him on that offensive side of the ball. And I think the Jets' offense is going to be pretty solid. I think they're going to be pretty good this
That
year.
is very
It's just
bold,
dropped
Jeff.
2
That is
premium
very
takes in one rant. Okay, the first one was that the New England Patriots are 4th in the division. The second one was Zach Wilson is going to have a Joe Burrow-like take. Man, you need to stop doing all these premium takes. We ain't going to have a show soon, man. Go burn them up all quickly. Now, give me why you think the Bills are going to be number
Well,
1.
I just think they're the flat-out best team in that division. Talent-wise, I mean, their talent is way superior to the rest of the teams in the division. I think the Jets are going to be a much-improved team, but I just don't think they're anywhere near where the Bills are right now. They added Von Miller, which is a tremendous addition to that defense. You're getting Tre'Davious White back. I like the fact they added Elam opposite of Tre'Davious White in the secondary as that second cornerback.
Yes, he will be.
You got Crowder as a good slot receiver to replace Beasley, and then you brought in James Cook, and if he's anything like his brother Dalvin, that was probably the weakest point of that offense. You got yourself a really well-rounded offense, and I think Josh Allen is just, after what happened to him in that Kansas City game, I think Josh Allen is just pissed off, and he's focused as can be to go in there and just wreak havoc on everybody and just go for an MVP-type season because he's pissed off right now, and he wants to show everybody that he is not only a top 3 quarterback in this NFL, but he is an MVP level quarterback, and he's going to just motivate and push that team through the AFC to the Super Bowl. I think they're going to be the Super Bowl representative in the AFC as well. So I think I'm going with Bills 1, Jets 2, Dolphins 3, and yes, the Patriots 4th.
Wow.
Eventually they're going to have to suck. Eventually the Patriots are going to have to have a down year.
Well, I am not going down your road, but you can definitely hop on my road. I think Buffalo Bills are going to be number 1 for many of the things you mentioned. I do believe people are underestimating how good Josh Allen was and what he did for that offense. I was watching NFL Network, and they go, well, he's a running quarterback. No, Josh Allen is not a running quarterback. He rushed because that's what they allowed him to do, but he's not a guy you want to be in harm's way. People, harm's way. Linebackers like to injure people. I don't know if you know this, but guys like to hit low in the knees. There's no way I want to lose Josh Allen to some hero trying to make a name for himself because you want to run an RPO and look cute. Now, number 2 team, I'm going to put the Patriots because, Bill Belichick is just, until proven otherwise, he's just a machine. He is like Tom Brady of coaching. The boy, the man just, right. He's in his laboratory right now. He doesn't go on break. He doesn't do anything. He goes fishing and he watches film. That's what he does. Okay? So he's going to know. I know everyone's like, Joe Judge. Yeah, Joe Judge ain't calling no offense. That's like an internship. He just let him be an intern for the summertime. Here, get your feet wet with the offense. We know you stink. We're definitely not going to let you be calling plays come September. But, hey, it'll look good and it'll make you feel good since you got fired, right? No, not happening. Not buying that shit. Okay, number 3, I'm going with the Jets because – 1, I love what they're doing. I don't think they have it right now to win. I think because a lot of teams are stacked as the AFC is, but I like the direction of where their head coach is going. The enthusiasm that he's bringing to that team. The players are enthusiastic. The fan base is enthusiastic, and they're top 3 picks. People need to understand Garrett Wilson, man. We need to talk about him because he's going to help out Josh. I mean, he's going to help out Zach Wilson. He really will. because he will be able to take the top off the defense while Elijah Moore does all the sneaky things underneath. And then you have Corey Davis to take up the rear. And like you said, they have 3 tight ends that can block, catch, and pass. So I think you'll see a lot of max protection. I think you'll see a lot of 3 tight ends, and I think you'll see a lot of rollouts and things to really get Wilson the ball. Wilson to Wilson. The Wilson to Wilson connection. You heard it here first. They should start a law firm or a carpentry or some type of business. Wilson to Wilson. I'm calling them. And the last but not least, Mike McDaniels looks like he's like a mad scientist, but he's not a mad scientist like Bill Nye the Science Guy. He will not be saving the Miami Dolphins, as the Miami Dolphins are not going to be that good. Tua Tagovailoa, I do not believe in, and I know a lot of people. I know Tyreek Hill's like, yeah, he's the most accurate quarterback I've ever played with. Bull cocky. Okay, I don't hear a damn thing. You want to tell me that he's the most accurate quarterback I've ever been around? Him and Davis Webster both get on the same damn boat and smoke some whatever they smoking. Because these 2 idiots have said 2 of the dumbest sentences I've heard in football offseason. One was, well, Tua Tagovailoa is more accurate quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. Okay, and the sun is red. The sun is blue. My ass. The other one was Davis Webb. Oh yeah, Daniel Jones is the smartest quarterback I've played with. Hello. You play with Josh Allen and Eli Manning, and you're trying to pass that shit off for me? Are you kidding me? You got to be kidding me! If you're gonna blow that sunshine up my ass, no, thank you, Davis Webb. I am not buying what you're selling me. You can go back to the bank with that. There is no way that you're telling me that Daniel Jones is the smartest quarterback. The guy who threw it to Kansas City's friggin' lineman who was doing nothing is the smartest quarterback you've been around. Give me a break. We'll moving right along to the next division of football. Next division in the AFC.
Well
that
said,
would be
Adam.
The AFC. Oh, thank you. That would be the AFC North. Okay, and we all know who came out of the North last year. The Cincinnati Bengals went 10-7. The Pittsburgh Steelers got to the playoffs at 9-7. The Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens both took up the rear at 8-9. Fellas, who do you think is going to win this division? And what are some of your thoughts?
Well,
anyone?
You want to go first? Go ahead, Zion.
Yeah, I'll go first. So basically, until proven otherwise, I know the Ravens have a solid roster this year, but I just think that the Bengals are the better team on paper, and they're probably gonna. We're covering this division, right? I just looked because it said Giants AFC preview. Okay, perfect. So, sorry, I wasn't looking. I was just listening. So basically, yes, I have the Bengals taking it, followed by the Ravens. I think the Ravens have a really strong roster. I have the coming down close to the wire. Probably by a 1 to 2 game difference that the Bengals win the division. In third place, I have the Steelers. Some people may think why I don't have Baker Mayfield and the Browns there. I just think the Browns are going to struggle. The Browns are going to struggle this year. I have the Steelers. The Steelers still have a strong defense, and TJ Watt still plays for the Steelers. That being said, I'm going to choose the Steelers, and then I'm going to choose the Browns. So that's how I have that laying up.
So you have the Ravens one, or I'm sorry,
Bengals, Ravens.
Oh,
Steelers,
okay.
Browns.
Bengals, Ravens, Steelers, Browns. Mac.
Well, I have the exact same order as Zion, so just to save a little time there, I have the exact same order. Cincinnati winning the division. I have the Baltimore Ravens coming up in second. Pittsburgh, unfortunately, Mike Tomlin for the first time missing the playoffs in his head coaching career. Coming in third, and the Cleveland Browns, who right now on paper are a complete mess. We don't know what the hell is going on with their quarterback situation. Deshaun Watson, if he's going to be able to play this season or if he'll be tied up in litigation again. And then they had to go begging back to Baker Mayfield. I'm waiting for all of this to unfold and see where all of this goes, because they do technically still have Baker Mayfield on the roster as well. So
I would play for them. Shoot, so I'd make a base for it.
If for any reason Deshaun Watson is not able to play, is that their plan? Like, Baker, please don't leave us. Like
sounds like the Cleveland Browns.
Oh yeah,
they're a mess, and that's why I got it. And I do have the Baltimore Ravens also getting a wild card spot.
Ooh, the Baltimore Ravens,
Cincinnati, and the Ravens both making the playoffs out of this division. Cincinnati.
So right now, it's looking like the Buffalo Bills, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Ravens are headed to the playoffs. Well, you guys are interesting. I mean, man, the Browns are the Browns, man. Their legacy just speaks for themselves. Jeff, your thoughts?
I hate to say it, but I agree with the both of you. I have the same exact list. And a lot of it has to do is I don't know what the hell is what are the Browns? Who are they? And if that whole quarterback situation, that whole mess going on in
The Browns.
Cleveland, that's why they're going to be the last team in that division.
They're like a
Who
shit
even
stain.
knows who's suiting up for the quarterback position? There could be Jacoby Brissett for all we know. So yeah, I have
Shit stain.
Cincinnati. Cincinnati's biggest weakness on their team was the secondary and the offensive line, and they were able to repair both of those in the draft and free agency. So I got them talent-wise. I think they're the best team in that division. I think Baltimore is the second best team. I love their defense. I think their offense is solid. They're going to get those running backs back that they lost at pretty much the end of training camp. So they're going to get all those guys back, including their secondary players. I got Pittsburgh coming in third because I just don't know who's going to be the quarterback. Is Trubisky going to be able to get it done? I think they got talent all around Trubisky, but I just don't trust him. I never trust Trubisky. He's just like a Tua. So he's a guy that you think can turn it around, but you just don't have any faith in him. And the Browns are just the Browns. They're just the Browns again. It's like the Browns of old. They're a mess. They're a train wreck. I mean, good luck to Kevin Stefanski and everybody in that organization trying to run that team. Because the only place they're going to be running it right in the ground, which is what's happening right now.
Right
so
to the unemployment line.
Exactly. I got the Bengals, the Ravens, the Steelers, and the Browns. Adam, it's all on you, bro.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm not going to agree with you guys because that would be boring, okay? Because this is not a boring show, so I'm not going to make it boring. So for me, I'm going to go the Bengals number one because I just, I like orange, and the Bengals seem like they got the best quarterback situation in the AFC North. But I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers at number two, and here's why. I cannot count out Mr. Mike Tomlin just like I can't count out Mr. Bill Belichick. This guy has been in the playoffs every year since he's taken over for the Steelers. That's an incredible run, and it's not going to.
Can I have a quick rebuttal? I'm sorry, Adam. Quick rebuttal.
Go ahead.
The quarterback situation is where I'm concerned.
And I'm gonna rebuttal too. I'm
Mac,
gonna
Mac,
they ain't gonna do it against the Ravens.
Hey, listen. You heard the stories. You can win a Super Bowl with a bum quarterback, okay? I'm not worried about this. Mitchell Trubisky, you are the next Brad Johnson, my friend. You are the next Brad Johnson. Mitchell Trubisky, you go there and you play your tail off and you win your Super Bowl. You cash in and do nothing the rest of your career as a bunch of these other bums. No.
Well, Mitchell is not going to start, dog. That's probably Pickett. Start Pickett over Mitchell.
You have no faith. You have no faith. No, I know you guys are correct. I know you guys are correct.
Daniel Jones on the roster, and we do have Daniel Jones on the roster.
Well, I bet you Mitchell Trubisky is trying to get his receipt back, calling his agent and saying, hey, man, you didn't tell me they were going to draft Kenny Pickett. I should have went with them Daniel Jones guys. I had a better chance of starting over there than I do now with Kenny Pickett starting. But he'll be number two. Tomlin will find it. The Ravens still have Lamar Jackson last I checked, and he is not a very good passer. I know people like to watch his flash and dash. That's all he's got. He's going to be dashing around the field because he ain't going to be throwing it, and everyone knows his game. 2 reads and go. He's a 2, boom, boom, and go. You know what I'm saying? He ain't got no read. So I ain't worried about him. I mean, and they lost their defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale. He's with us.
They got a lot of young, fast receivers, and that defense, I get it. I'm not trying to.
Hollywood Brown ain't even there anymore.
I'm super excited that we have Wink Martindale, but that defense is nothing to sleep with. So whether it be Mitchell or Pickett, that's going to be complicated for them.
Well, anyways, this is my things. You had your chance for your damn list. You could have said it then. You didn't. So anyways, pick it up at the rear, okay, is the Cleveland Browns because they're an absolute dumpster fire. I can smell them from here because they're burning from Cleveland. The winds from the Cleveland from the west are coming this way, and it smells. I mean, I live in Jersey, so it stinks. So it's extra stinky because of the Cleveland, Ohio team because they idiots. This is how dumb this team is. Okay, you basically divorce the one quarterback to marry somebody else who doesn't even like you. He doesn't even like you. Okay, he didn't even want to come to you. You were like, "Hey, we'll give you another $30 million." He was like, "Fuck yeah, why not?" You know what I mean? You're going to give me $30 million more to do basically nothing. Great. I am there. Sign me up. Where do I sign up? Listen, folks, if you had a job and you didn't like it, and they're like, well, we really like you, but you don't like us, we'll throw an extra $30 million plus the golf cart. Oh, the golf cart. That's it. I'm there. You sold me. And that's what they were giving him. They're giving him a golf cart. You don't even know if this guy's going to play anymore. He's probably going to be on his golf cart on the golf course because he'll be in litigations all year for what he's doing. Him and Vince McMahon can both be in jail at the same time. They both can ask themselves the same damn questions. What the hell were we doing? Moving on. Moving on to the next division.
Who's the playoff teams, though? Just Cincinnati or somebody else? Maybe?
Oh, that's right. I'm going to go like this. I'm going to take it like this. Cincinnati and Pittsburgh are going to the playoffs, okay? And we'll have Buffalo in there. So I got them too. All right, so now, moving from these teams, you know what division I'm saving for last. You know what division I'm saving for last. But here, we'll go with the next division, which is probably the most boring in the AFC, the AFC South. The Tennessee Titans, who were number one in the AFC last year, 12-5. The Indianapolis Colts with Matty Ice, 9-8. And Houston Texans, 4-13. And the Jacksonville Sexy Jaguars are now 3-13. Ladies and gentlemen, I will go first just because, they're on my mind. I'm going to pick Tennessee to go 11-6 in this division. I think they're going to win. I'm going to go in Indianapolis. Screw that. Indianapolis. Matty Ice is going to turn back time, and he's going to make that team number one in the South. Why? Just because I believe that they got the best and most underrated defense in the division. Their offensive line is pretty solid, and they got probably arguably the best back in football. Not to mention an up-and-coming Michael Pittman and a few other receivers that they've picked up in the draft. I think this team is ready to go. I think Matty Ice will not be stupid like Carson Wentz, and I mean stupid. Carson Wentz last year did some dumb things. I thought Daniel Jones was dumb, but Carson Wentz was right up there with some dumb things. If you were to do football follies, Carson Wentz and Daniel Jones, those would be your top guys. Tennessee will be number two just because of their coaching staff, and they do have a good defense. Those edge rushers are pretty ferocious. And then I will go with the Jacksonville Jaguars at number three. That's not really a big deal, but Jacksonville Jaguars at number three. And then the rear will be the Houston Texans picking up the rear, who I do believe they're going to be a more improved team. Giant fans, please do not sleep on the Texans, because when you do, they will come here and whoop that ass, and then you'll be like, well, what happened? I thought the Texans, yeah, they have the same record as we were. They like their quarterback, and they have a coach that's done it in the NFL before, and Lovie Smith. So don't sleep on them. And those are my picks, guys. Have at it.
I was gonna agree with you, but for the sake of the show, like you did last time, I'm gonna change it up.
How dare you?
Obviously, I got the Colts winning hands down by a long shot, like running away with it. Already clinched by like week 14.
Wow, no respect.
If all goes healthy. But I do have Jacksonville finishing second.
Whoa!
Here's my theory to that. We have a coach that did win a Super Bowl that I didn't really like his last appearance. I've seen him, that week 17 game. But long story short, Doug Peterson doesn't know how to build a team, and he's proven it. That being said, you have
number three.
You have a young quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, but you have a fire-ass defense, a young, hungry, fire defense that's going to be really complicated and it's going to make life really hard for Ryan Tannehill. You may think like, but what are you talking about? Ryan Tannehill is a veteran quarterback. He's been there. He's done that. He just had the best record last season. The Titans clinched number one last season.
Mac is sleeping because he thinks that's what he thinks of your takes right now.
I have it being close. I have it being close, and I have them edging them out, and I have them fighting for it. 10-9 wins is going to go to second place. Whether they be going to Jacksonville, whether they be going to Titans, I do have Jacksonville.
Did someone lace your sticky icky with some angel dust or some shit?
I get it. Goldilocks didn't show us anything yet, but young team, young defense. Goldilocks has receivers, young running back. If they all stay healthy, Jacksonville
he's either going to be Goldilocks or Thor, depending on how you
coaching staff. I mean, don't sleep on Trevor Lawrence. So that being said, I'm going to change things up. I'm going to go Jacksonville, Tennessee, only by a game out, and then finish him at less than 5 wins, not to count out Stills and what he's done. He's pretty good percentage when it comes to throwing the football.
but I just don't think he has the weapons yet. I'm not trying to overlook Brandon Cooks, I think he's still on the team. One of the best by far receivers of our generation. Just doesn't notice it because the guy switches teams a lot. But he has 1,000 yards any team he goes to. He puts up 1,000 yards.
And he's been on like 14.
I don't think they have the defense, young defense too. But I have Houston finishing last.
Man, someone got laced with angel dust tonight, man.
Well. I guess it's my turn, and I also have the Indianapolis Colts winning this division. The Matt Ryan addition is key.
Wow, we don't respect the Tennessee Titans.
If Matt Ryan was the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts last season, they would not have lost that last game to Jacksonville, and they would have.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
So that's the difference right there. That it's just that there, along with everything else you already mentioned, Adam. I don't have to go repeat it. The running back situation, the good up and coming receiver in Michael Pittman, sneaky good defense. They have the best linebacker in football on their defense, as far as I'm concerned.
That is true.
And one of the best offensive lines in football with absolutely one of the best running backs, if not the best running back. And I like the Indianapolis Colts this year because of that addition of Matt Ryan. I think it puts them over the top of this division. However, Zion, my friend, I got to disagree strongly with you. This is a this division is a two-team race between the Colts and the Titans. But I got the Titans coming up a little bit short in the division this year, coming in second place. And then I will follow that up with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think they just did a lot of things this offseason that make them a little bit better than Houston. But that could go either way. It doesn't really matter. I only have one team coming out of this division in the playoffs, and that is the Indianapolis Colts. Unfortunately, Tennessee Titans, I feel like, are going to come up short from a wild card spot this year.
Midnight will strike 12 on their chariot. All right. Well, Jeff, if Mac is done, it's you.
I'm definitely done.
Darius Leonard, DeForest Buckner, Kwity Paye, D'Amico Autry,
what a name,
and Yannick Ngakoue are going to be the reasons why the Colts are the number one team in that division, because their defense is just fantastic. And the one weakness they had was that secondary, and they just added a guy named Stephon Gilmore, who was arguably one of the best cornerbacks a year or two ago. So their defense is spectacular. Arguably the best running back, like you guys said. Matt Ryan, clear upgrade over a clearly done Phillip Rivers, and who even knows what he was thinking, Carson Wentz. Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce. I like Jelani Woods. Paris Campbell, if the guy can stay healthy, he's solid. Good offensive line. Colts are the best team in that division, and they should win it without any issues.
Wow.
Tennessee will be the second best team,
No respect.
but man, I can't. Tennessee, I think, took some big hits on that offense. Yes, they still have Derrick Henry, who is still one of the best and premier backs in this league. But I think their offensive line is not anywhere what it was before. They lost Roger Saffold. Taylor Lewan is clearly not the same player. I don't like the rest of their offensive line. There's no more A.J. Brown out there. There's no Julio Jones. You got Robert Woods coming off an ACL. Who knows what Traylon Burks is? Austin Hooper, he can give them anything at tight end.
Hooper.
And Ryan Tannehill is going to be too busy looking over his shoulder because all he's going to be hearing is, Malik, when are we putting in Malik?
He's not a mentor, though.
Where's Malik? Is Malik coming in? That's all he's going to be hearing this entire season. If he makes one or two mistakes, the entire crowd's going to be wanting Malik Willis in that game. But I still believe they're the second best team because I like that defense and especially that pass rush. And three names, Jeffrey Simmons, Harold Landry, Bud Dupree. That's why I think they're the second best team right now in that division, because of that defense and because Mike Vrabel is a hell of a coach.
And they have Caleb Farley coming back.
Exactly. You still got Kevin Byard in that secondary. I'm disagreeing with you guys in the third place. I'm putting Houston there. Shout out to our buddy Coach Dante. I think your Houston Texans. I think they're going to be the third best team in this division because I like Davis Mills. I think Davis Mills is going to be a pretty good quarterback in this league.
I like Davis Mills too.
I thought he showed something. Their offensive line's not terrible. And can we put a lot more respect on Brandon Cook's name as one of the best receivers in this game?
And Lovey
Because that
Smith.
guy just goes out there and he does it, gets it done. And Lovey Smith, man, has this guy deserved another head coach job for so many years. And I think he's going to have that very young but yet talented Houston Texans defense ready to go because they got a lot of talent, and especially in that secondary, that's going to be raring to go. And I think the Texans are going to surprise a couple of teams. Not to the degree where they're going to be competing for a division, but I think the Texans are going to be a team that's going to show something. And Jacksonville, I know you got Doug Peterson. I know you just picked up Trayvon Walker. You got some good players on there. What are you going to get from Sunshine, a.k.a. Trevor Lawrence? I don't know what you were thinking throwing all that money at Christian Kirk and Zay Jones.
Oh my
Lord. I don't understand why you decided to pick up a franchise tag Cam Robinson when he's an okay tackle. The best move they made was Brandon Sheriff at guard.
They didn't have much.
I don't like this I don't love this Jaguars team as much as you guys do. I think they're going to be finishing dead last in this division. So I gotta
like them for them to beat us.
No,
I just think.
Oh, that's true.
Better than Houston. I mean, they say I like them.
I think you can flip flop either one of those two teams. I just like Houston's upside more than I do like Jacksonville. So that's the reason why I'm picking Houston. I just love their young talent on that team, and I love Lovie Smith as a coach. So I'm going Indianapolis, Tennessee, Houston, Jacksonville.
So far, it is looking like we've got the Bills making the playoffs, the Ravens and the Bengals making the playoffs, except if you ask me, I say Pittsburgh. And then we have the Indianapolis Colts making the playoffs.
I got Indianapolis and Tennessee making it. And Tennessee will be a wild
card.
Hold
on. Now it brings us to probably the best and most exciting
Can I go
division
first on this one?
Division in football, the most exciting division in football. Mac, you can go first, but before we do that, let me introduce the teams to everybody. If in case you've forgotten, Kansas City Chiefs was 12-5. The Las Vegas Raiders were 10-7. The Los Angeles Choke-on-Dicks Chargers were 9-8, and the Denver Broncos pick up the rear with 7-10. Mac, take it away, my friend.
Oh, what a fun division this is going to be to watch. Yes, and I'm so glad we're not playing this division this year. Thank God we got out the way last year. But I believe any one of these teams can win this division, but only one can. I think it's going to be the not the San Diego Superchargers, but the Los Angeles Superchargers. And I believe they're going to get this division. They just went all in with their moves. It's like they just took all their chips, pushed them to the center of the table, and said, we going all the way in. We won it this year. And they made the kind of moves they made. It's boom or bust. They got to make the playoffs. They got to make a run in the playoffs. They got maybe one of the best set of defensive ends in football right now with Joey Bosa. And and Khalil Mack. That's unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable. They got my man. They got Derwin James on the back end of that defense, holding things down. They got decent linebackers, you know what I mean? None that are super noteworthy, but decent, good enough to get the job done. And then offensively, they come at you with a strong running attack with Austin Eckler and a couple of guys he's got behind him in the real rotation there. Then Keenan McCardell, one of the best route runners in all of football at the wide receiver position. I mean, not Keenan McCardell. You know what I mean. You know.
Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen.
Keenan McCardell.
He was a hell of a receiver too, for the Chargers. So he can't.
Keenan Allen.
He did. He was.
Mike Williams, who's been emerging the past couple of years, turned
they just
into a legit.
Didn't they just signed him?
Option. I believe so. Yeah. So. I'm loving this Charger team this year. I think they're gonna get the job done out there in the AFC West. Second place, which is in this division, is still gonna be pretty damn good. And I believe that's gonna be the Kansas City Chiefs coming in second place in this division. I still think this Patrick Mahomes, he's not falling any further lower than second place. And then, and then third, I like the Denver Broncos here in the third spot.
Whoa!
Russ Wilson, man. Russ Wilson brings something extra to the table. Denver already sports a pretty damn good, impressive defense. and Russ Wilson's taking that offense over the top, man. Those
Premium
receivers,
take number 4.
they have great receivers. They got a solid run game. That running back kid, that kid Williams, a running back, he's gonna ascend this year. Take a Jonathan
Oh
Taylor like
yes.
a step forward, I believe. Honestly, if they just feed that man the football, and so I like Denver coming in third in this division. And then unfortunately, that puts the Raiders in the rear. But in this division, I feel like they're going to still have a winning record, just coming in last place. Unfortunately, in this hard, tough division, but they're still a legitimate football team. But somebody's got to come in last, and I think it's going to be the Raiders. And I believe that all three of the top three teams in this division, the Broncos, the Chiefs, and the Chargers, will be making the postseason.
Wow, 3. I have 4 teams making the playoffs, but we'll wait for me. We have 2 other guys to get to before myself, Jeffrey and or Zion. Which
Let's
one?
see. The AFC West. This division is going to be something to watch all season long, but I'm going with the Las Vegas Raiders.
Woo!
I'm taking the Raiders to win this division because you said they did. They did pick up, the Chargers did pick up 2 great defensive ends, but guess what? The Raiders have them too. Chandler Jones is a terrific addition for that defense, and you got Max Crosby, who is an animal on the other side. So you also got 2 dynamic pass rushing ends on that Raiders team. I think they have a solid linebacking core, a good solid
Don't
secondary.
forget the best wide receiver in the game.
And that offense, if Derek Carr and Devontae Adams can have any type of chemistry that they had when they're SMU days, just look out. I'm telling you, just look out. And then you have to think, when has Devontae Adams had this good of a supporting cast around him? Since probably the days of when he had Randall Cobb and Jordy Nelson around. He hasn't had this good of a supporting cast around him with Hunter Renfrow, who has made himself one of the best and premier slot receivers. Darren Waller is a hell of a tight end. Demarcus Robinson is a good, solid third receiver. And I think Derek Carr is ready to make that jump into one of the better quarterbacks in the league. I really think that this is going to be the year where people are going to start putting respect on Derek Carr's name. So I got the Raiders as number 1. I do have the Chargers number 2 because I just think the collection of talent they have on that team is the second best in the division. I think that Zion Johnson move on the offensive line was a huge move for them. We already add him to Slater. I think that Justin Herbert is going to be in the conversation for the MVP trophy. I love J.C. Jackson being added to that secondary with Derwin James. So you got a premier cornerback over there, along with Asante Samuel Jr. You still got Keenan Allen, one of the best and most dynamic receivers for a long time. Gets the job done every year. Mike Williams is that deep threat. Keenan McCardell. You got Josh Palmer, who we all, as Giants fans, we know what that guy did against us. Josh Palmer was killing us that whole game. Austin Eckler, very good running back. I just think this Chargers team is going to be number 2. I was jockeying around with number 3 and number 4, but I actually do. I thought I was going to go with Denver first, but I'm actually going to go with Kansas City third because of the Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid factor. I just think that Patrick Mahomes is still a great quarterback. How is that offense going to operate with no more Tyreek Hill? Travis Kelce is still one of the best tight ends. Their defense scares me a little bit because I don't know what their secondary is going to be like. Do you take away Ward and you take away the Honey Badger out of that secondary? Do you think they really upgrade? So I think teams are going to be able to pass on them. Their pass rush, besides Chris Jones, I don't really trust them. So their defense does make me a little nervous. But, I mean, offensively, I still think they're very solid. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has got to stay healthy. Mecole Hardman, I think that's the reason why they got rid of Tyreek Hill is because of Hardman. I like Marquez Valdez-Scantling as a deep threat. Juju Smith-Schuster as a number 2, could still get the job done. And Justin Ross, I hope that's one of the guys I hope can just get into the NFL and could be a guy because I love this kid's talent. Just unfortunate what happened to him. I think he's a dynamic receiver when he's 100%. So I have the Chiefs coming in number 3, and I have Denver coming in number 4. And it's no slight against Russell Wilson and that team. I just think the other 3 teams, I just think they're better. I just think they're flat-out better teams overall talent-wise. And I have 2 teams out of this division making it because I just think these teams are going to beat each other up the entire year, and I think it's going to give an opportunity. I think it's going to give an opportunity for one of those teams in the other division that might not be as good. the division might not be as strong to sneak into the playoffs because these 4 teams are just going to be pounding at each other all season long. So I just think the competitiveness is going to make it a little bit difficult for 3 teams to get in. But I have the Raiders number 1, Chargers number 2, Chiefs number 3, and Broncos number 4. Zion, go ahead.
Yeah, great takes by Mac and Jeff. I'll probably still have the Chiefs number 1. I just believe that they'll find a way to get it done. I know all the teams. This is the most competitive division, most competitive in football. It's going to be a really exciting division to watch. But I still have the Chiefs in and otherwise winning it. Followed by the Chargers. I just think the Chargers have a really great defense, really great offense. Hopefully, if Justin Herbert can live up to the quarterback he's being projected to live up to, they're going to be finishing second. Down there might beat out the Chiefs and might win it. That being said, I have Oakland finishing last. Third. I had them finishing last, but the more that I think about it, and the more that I think about it, I have my experience and listen to you guys. I mean, like if you look at, they have one of the best, most experienced receivers in the game, in Devontae Adams. You look at that line, and yes, what Jeff said, the addition of Chris Jones is a great improvement on a line that they necessarily didn't really need to improve on because Oakland's front defensive line was pretty solid, and they just gotten better. You got Max Crosby. Let's not just go the boys already ran into him. He's just such a I wouldn't say underrated because he's kind of getting the recognition now, but he deserves to get the recognition. He's kind of like almost like a Brian Burns situation, where because he plays on a small market team, he doesn't really get the recognition. But now that the Raiders have more primetime games, and now that the Raiders been winning as of late last season and the season they had, you look at it like that's a tough defense, and And if you look at the Broncos, the reason why I moved them, I had them finishing third. I have them even finishing second. But the reason why I moved them to finishing last is just reasons. It's a young core. I know how some people could say how can you say Jacksonville is going to beat out Tennessee? I just see Tennessee struggling more, and especially in this division, every team is stacked. So with that young receivers, you can make mistakes playing the Houston Texans. You can make mistakes playing a semi, not the same Houston Tennessee Titans. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to the Raiders, the Chiefs, the Chargers, these are powerhouse teams. So, if these rookies go out there and make mistakes, what's the worst thing? Can be playing the best football of his life when it's a team game. So just because they have a lot of the roster is still surrounded with youth, I have them finishing last.
Well. That is a crazy, insane list, but not so much mine. I'm going to go with the Chargers being number 1, and for many of the reasons that were mentioned over here, one that I love is Herbert. I think this kid, we're not looking at him properly, and the reason is because I did a comparison last year. This guy had nothing his first year. And you know what we saw out of Justin Herbert? Let me ask you guys. Justin Herbert's rookie year, do you think he was good?
He was great.
Yeah.
Okay, did you think that guy had no talent?
He had talent.
Did you think you need to evaluate him 3 years in still and wonder if he's going to be good?
I see where you're going with this.
Just for everybody that knows, Adam is the biggest Daniel Jones fan out there, just so in case you didn't know that.
I'm just saying. We want to look at quarterbacks in the quarterback position. This is a big topic of mine. And Justin Herbert, to me, is going to take that Joe Burrow leap. Whether or not it brings them to a Super Bowl, I do not think so. I think he will be – I think for me, it's going to be the Buffalo Bills and the Los Angeles Chargers in the AFC Championship game to punch their ticket to the Super Bowl. I think he's that good. I think he's proven to be that good. If you want to talk about improvement, go look at Justin Herbert's stats from year 1 to year 2. Broke all the rookie records and then had a phenomenal year. And the best pass I think I've seen a person throw, besides the Eli Manning touchdown pass, in a game was that game against the Giants where I think it was Jordan Palmer who caught the pass. He threw a 50-yard rope to the back of the end zone with time running out for a Hail Mary. So that's the Chargers. I will go with Kansas City as number 2 because I just think, to be the man, you got to beat the man, and they're still the man in this division until proven otherwise. But with that being said, I think the up-and-coming Chargers upend them. Number 3 to me is interesting because it is quite the coin flip, but I'm going to go with the Las Vegas Raiders here, and I think it's because of the Josh McDaniels effect and the Devontae Adams effect. I think they're going to do things. Remember, there's something that somebody brought up on NFL Network. Josh McDaniels had Randy Moss, had one of the best seasons he was as the offensive coordinator. When he was head coach at Denver, he had Brandon Marshall as the receiver. Brandon Marshall went on to have one of the best years in the football for a guy his height. Another guy that measures that high is Devontae Adams. So I could see Devontae Adams, he's already the best receiver in the game right now, taking that to a next level with Josh McDaniels as his head coach. So I think they're number 3 just because, again, the 2 quarterbacks ahead of Derek Carr, who, by the way, had 4,800 yards. Let me say that again, 4,800 yards and 23 touchdowns, or 25 touchdowns last year. I just think Herbert and Mahomes are better. And taking up the rear is Denver. No sliding you, Denver. I think all 4 teams somehow find a way to get in the playoffs. Remember, there's only 6 games in the division between these teams, right? So 2 teams can finish at, 3-3, and then 2 teams can finish at 4-2, and we still got them. We still got them here, right? So we'll see what happens. I think the Denver Broncos are going to have a lot to be said in the AFC West. I don't think they're just going to lie down and say, hey, yeah, let me just be number 4. We got Russell Wilson to be number 4. There are some things that do alarm me. They have a new coach who has no head coaching experience, getting acclimated to the offense. That's what I worry about. But defense can keep you in a game. And Russell Wilson is no what is that word? He's no bum. So
He's no slouch.
He's no bum, no slouch, no schlub, whatever word you want to call him. He's still a good player, and I think that'll keep Denver in the game. So for me, it goes the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Raiders. I like to say it like Chris Berman says it. The Raiders and Denver Broncos at number 4. And I think that we're going to see 4 teams. That's right. You heard it here. Premium takes. Here's premium take number 5. We had them all across the board tonight. 4 teams. That's right. 4 teams. 4 teams are making the playoffs out of this squad. Since there's 1 division winner, and since there are 4 division winners, it's going to be the 4 division winners plus the 3 other teams out of the AFC West. Don't even bother, Tennessee. Don't even bother New England, and don't even bother Baltimore or Pittsburgh, because it's going to be Las Vegas and Denver and Kansas City taking up the rear. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's been our show for the evening. Unless you guys got anything else you want to discuss, want to talk about, want to run down, let me know. The floor is yours.
I'm good unless Mac and Jeff has anything.
I got nothing. I just can't wait to see this whole thing play out, especially with this AFC West, man. I'm looking forward to watching some great football coming out of that division this year, man. It'll be good to just sit back as not even a fan of any of those teams and just be able to enjoy it without any rooting interest necessarily. You just get to watch good ass football games when these teams hook up. So I'm looking forward to that.
That is what we call appointment television, people.
I'm just looking forward to just not only just the AFC West, but the AFC in general. I think that whole conference is going to be fun as hell to watch that entire season with the type of matchups that you're going to get, the quarterback play. It's going to be a fun conference to watch the entire season. I agree. The AFC West games should when those 2 teams, when they play each other, those games should be in prime time every single time. I would make sure you have primetime games for the AFC West every single week, because it's going to be an absolute show every time 2 of those teams meet up. So I can't wait. I just can't wait for the season, not just because of the Giants, but because of watching the AFC West and the AFC in general. It's going to be so much fun to watch the whole conference, especially that division in the AFC West. Just go at it.
One more real quick. Shout out to the Colorado Avalanche defending their home ice in these first 2 games of the Stanley Cup Finals. Quite impressive last night. What was that? 7-0 they won. That's just
beating them down.
Insane. So yeah, defending their home ice and keeping home ice advantage in the series. Yeah, I mean Tampa Bay needs to go back to their ice and get these next two, get back in this series. But we'll see what happens.
Remember, they're the heart of a champion. But in the words for to wrap up the NFC and everything today, in the words of T.O. and Bart Scott, T.O. used to say, "Get your popcorn ready." That's how I feel the AFC is going to be. Get your popcorn ready. And because the season's coming up, I'll take one from Bart Scott. He said the great famous words, "Can't wait." I can't wait for the AFC games this year. And that'll be our show, folks. Fellas, tell them where they can reach you, where they can find you, what you got going on this summer. We'll start with you, Zion. Take it away.
Yeah, you can catch me at Zion Zenith. Thank you, everybody, for joining in today on this great show. Thank you, Adam, for hosting it. You can catch us next week, Premium Takes. Let's get it. Thank you guys all for coming. Bless up.
Well, I am Mac the Giants fans, MACDA Giants fan. You can catch me on my channel, talking that New York Giant talk, talking a little bit of wrestling. Catch me and Adam with the real deal NFC East roundup. Be coming your way every Wednesday when the season starts. We got a couple off-season editions sprinkling in here and there, and along the way. And you can definitely catch me each and every Sunday here with my guys, the Four Horsemen Premium Takes Podcast. So that's where you can find me at. Please like, subscribe. Let me know what you think.
You can find me over at MYG Jeffy T 3285. I drop a lot of New York Giants, WWE Wrestling, Brooklyn Nets, New York Mets content. Repping it over here with my boys, the Four Horsemen. Everybody, please throw up your fours. If you haven't already, throw up the four for the Four Horsemen. We're doing it as good as Ric Flair and his boys over there.
Let's
And
get it.
at the same time, I hope everybody, all the fathers out there, hope you had a wonderful Father's Day. Enjoy some great time with your families. Have a great rest of your Sunday night. Take it easy. And we'll catch you guys next Sunday for our next episode of our Premium Takes. Have a good night, everybody.
That's going to be coming your way on Zion Zenith's channel, too.
Yes.
And that will be me. I have the hurry up. You can find me with Mac the Giant Fan on NFC East Roundup. I don't do it as well as Mac. He's got the great voice to make the NFC Roundup really pop. So look for that show. It's fire, and more fire. It's going to be like a wildfire of NFC East topics for you guys. So get ready, get your popcorn ready. And every Sunday, Premium Takes with these handsome gentlemen, the Four Horsemen. Again, my name is Adam Costas. That's Mac the Giants Fan, MACDA Giants Fan, NYG Jeffy T 3285 and Zion Zenith. We are the Four Horsemen, and we will see you guys next week. Thank you so much.
Hey.